Folks, how are you doing? A beautiful rainy day here today, but I'm essentially just back from my holidays, and well, it's been a few weeks now since you're watching it, but what funny thing happened when I was there is I got a Facebook message from a friend, and he said that his boss was throwing this thing in the skip. It was just going in the skip the next day at the dump, and if I wanted it, then I looked at the picture, and it was a Williams pinball. Not just any Williams pinball, but it was a White Waters pinball, which is quite sought after and rare and expensive, and it was going in the skip the very next day, and I was you know, if I wanted it, I was more than welcome to come and collect it. And I said, well, I can't collect it because I'm in France and I'll be back in 3 weeks. Can you keep it? I said, no, it's going in the skip tomorrow. So I had to scramble and arrange a transporter, and I think I got it essentially for 55 from their place, which is in the south of Ireland, to my place here. They've just delivered. I got my neighbour to sign and collect it, and all was good and dandy. But let's have a look. I'm going to just flip this camera here, and I'm going to show you. Here it is. So it's in dreadful condition. I haven't really inspected much, but from what I can see here, and a few worrying things. So it's got the legs that are fairly rusted. Not too worried about that though. I can restore these easily. It's got the glass over there. Most things seem to be here. On the photo, the head was tilted, and it looked like there was a manual inside. Here should be sort of a plastic cover. I see already, like, this is broken here. And here, look at that. You can see that big giant bulge in the back of this plate. I don't like that at all, so I'm gonna, well, we'll see if we can get away with it, but I feel I might need to make another one of these. If you look here, the art looks kind of okay, but it's delaminated from the bottom, and it looks like it's taken a layer of wood with it. Or was it stenciled, painted on wood? I don't know. Anyway, I don't think I can save that. Yes, it's breaking here, delaminating. The laminating here, here, some of it is gone. Gonna have to remake another piece for that. I see woodworm, I don't like that. Might need to take that piece entirely off and make a new one. Oh god, I don't see woodworm here, so that's a good sign. At least it's only here, I don't see anything here. But this here, oh look at that. Just all the laminating. I might be able to get away, especially on the back here, with just gluing it back and clamping it down. Or is it? I'd like to save these stickers and patent stuff. I'll see what I can do here, but it's in it's pretty bad shape. Rust here in the corners. I assume the other side is sort of like that. Actually, the front look, yeah, there you go. It's all chipped. Actually, some of it fell when I brought it up here. Not too bad here, and this side is a bit better. Some delamination here and some here, but that could be glued back. But to be done, well, I'll see if I can get away with keeping this side like that. I could also order artwork. I might do that. Order some custom artwork. Oh, whatever here. A piece of tape. Yeah, I need new artwork for here for sure. God, okay. Looks like this is going to be quite a project. There's a lot of rust. Coin door is fairly rusted, but it works. Inside, well, it's hard to see. Doesn't look too bad. Don't see too much rust here on the top. At least not here. There's some over there on the transformer. I see some over there. But there's only a way to find out. So I'm gonna have to find a tripod for this thing, and we might even chance powering it on. Only one way to know if it works. At least the electronics, or most of the electronics, are sound. And everything is on the playfield, and the playfield is warped. But looking at this, I don't know, doesn't look good. Anyway, let's get a a tripod and lift this thing. Okay, this is not great. What I'm seeing already. Clamp this over. Wow. Okay. So there is indeed manuals and stuff, but wow. Okay. Well, the electronics look all right. Visibly, there's obviously the leaked batteries here, but I don't see any PCB damage. Let me. Come on, focus. I need to take out those batteries, like now, if I can. Okay. Okay, I need a screwdriver. But here, first problem, this thing is warped, and it's actually, it was pushing this guy. So there's a little bit of rust here, nothing on the PCB, so this will just need a clean. Is it straight? More or less straight-ish. Might need to make a new, yeah, that's the sort of chipboard as well. It's not great. Come on. Not easy with one hand. But yeah, look at that. This should be straight, so this is going to prevent, it's not going to close properly, it's going to prevent the glass from being put down properly. Wow. But the boards are clean-ish. I see some rust over there, but all of that inside can be clean, but I'm gonna need to make a new back because that's actually pushing the PCBs and bending them out of shape, really. Yeah. So I'm gonna need to take out the head altogether, and just that's gonna be the first thing I'm gonna do on this. Just take out the head and make a new one, or make a new one of these, new back, or maybe tidy this separately. But yeah, I think this is going to be a long project for many months. Anyway, let's close this for now and put this back. Can I even put it back? Will it stay just like that? I'll have to stay there for now. Let's open the playfield. Ow. There you go. Bag of assorted bits. Manual amendment for the pricing table. Coin door stuff. Business reply. Operator's handbook. Actually, this stuff is really cool to have. I'm not sure if all of it is available online. But really cool to have. It's quite rare to find these. What else have we? How to open the playfield. Actually, it's quite a comprehensive manual. The line filter cord. More manual. Okay, there's a whole section like a manual amendment. Electronic coin door. Separate stuff for the coin door. I like that. Even the original letter, and not one but two schematics. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's super handy. There's some water damage, but nothing major. I'll be able to use those. Really cool to have. And then just the general manual of well, pretty much everything. More schematics and playfield positions, and yeah, Okay, dead cool. And this is gonna be handy if any of this is broken. Let me grab the camera again. It's a quick visual inspection of the playfield. You know, it looks straight. It's filthy, but actually it's in pretty decent condition. Let me get a rag and some cleaner, see if I can buff this a tiny bit. Yeah, the playfield is actually in really nice conditions. I have to say, see the dirt that was on it compared to the white here. That's the most section that's clean. All this will go with a bit. I have this pinball cleaner. Not sure why that is, but I got that for my the Gladiator pinball, and this will take some elbow grease, but it'll clean up quite nicely actually. So that's not too bad. I'm not gonna do this now, but I just wanted to see if the playfield was still okay. Yeah, this will clean up. And I don't see, is there a miler on this? No, doesn't seem to be. Okay. I see holes here. Should there be a bar or holders or something? This was stuck up, so I assume this isn't working anyway. I see here it's broken. Yeah, I see other broken bits, but pretty much everything is here. It seems to be. This guy is here, which is great, because when they're hard to find if it's gone. Yeah, this is broken here, but I hear somebody has been making repros of these, so it'll be cool to start sourcing these if I need them. But first, just need to find out what's broken. I see some traces of something broken here. Looks like there should be something on here. Gonna have to just clean all these rusty bits here. But other than that, I think the playfield is fine, which is really good news. Because the box can be redone, the playfield would be a nightmare. So it's gonna be a nightmare anyway to clean. I need new rubbers, obviously. Look at these rubbers. I'd say most of the lights are fried. Let's see, let's look at the underneath. So it looks like the bottom is bulging as well, which might be fine, but just need, yeah, there's a small bulge in it. It's not the end of the world, and I can live with that, but it's gonna need a clean in there. There's the coin box. I need to take that out altogether. Yeah, so this needs a clean, this needs a clean. I can see some dampness, signs of dampness, and just a bit mold. And here's the laminating, but I can get away with just gluing it back and clamping it. Same thing here, it's just on the top, but I'll get away with just some glue and clamping, but it needs a clean regardless. Man, this is going to be some work. Okay. Over there, so the playfield is actually it's in decent enough shape. The Gladiator is in much worse shape underneath, or was, but here it's actually okay. So still need to give some parts a clean, but other than that, obviously I'm not sure all these coils work. It's going to be interesting to test, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. I am repeating myself here, but I'm just trying to convince myself that it's worth it. It definitely will be. Okay, you know what, there's one way to confirm whether this is a keeper or I need to pass it on because it's too much, or it's a parts project. is to see if it starts. Let me reconnect this guy back. Well, what do you know? We've got some life. We've got some life. Factory settings, bookkeeping, begin test. Test report. Time and date not set. I'm not surprised the batteries are dead. Some lights are working. Testing is working. Okay. Exit. White water. Even the system and everything. Okay. Press enter for main menu. We were there already, weren't we? Oh. Oh, testing, okay. The head isn't working. I discredited. Oh my god. Guys, looks like it's actually working. So, these guys are working. Fair enough. Are these guys working? Yeah. 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 Okay. Alright, so first thing is the volume only goes up, it doesn't want to go down, but that's okay. I think that's the button issues. But it looks like... So this is working, it just isn't coming down. That's fair enough. This is dead cool. It's having a problem coming out of that ramp there. And that's because it's not level. Anyway, so fair enough. It's working fine. It's working fine. Well, fine. Obviously, we've got some section over there doesn't seem to be working. There might be still issues with the just the relay board, like the transistor board, the MOSFETs. But other than that, ROM board music is starting. The display is working fine. Sound's working fine, and looks like most, if not all, the this guy here isn't quite working. They need a clean anyway, but yeah, and it's all there. I'm not sure what's going on here with these guys. It looks like they should have an insert. So if anybody knows, actually let me know, because I'll be curious. So there's going to be quite a lot of work. Okay, well, okay, fair enough. I am obviously keeping this if it's working like that, and it's going to need a full restoration. Quite a big challenge, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, you see here, there's a big gap. Wow, yeah, this thing needs to go. Time to start on this whitewater pinball. So I started working on the headboard. I am slowly removing parts. I'm taking tons of pictures as well, because there's tons of connectors and other bits and things that go here and there. So I'm just taking pictures as I go. Every time I remove a connector, I'm just taking a picture of where it goes. But so I'm gonna disconnect the headboard so it connects through those bolts here to here to here. It's fixed on this that pivots to bring the headboard down. Disconnected all the insides already, and you can see this guy, how badly this is warped. Actually, Yeah, look at that. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to remake that at some point. I'm actually considering remaking this guy as well, because that's just a piece of wood, and wouldn't be a bad thing just to have fresh, clean wood. Get to clean everything. The main board assembly, I'm going to disconnect. All these boards are disconnected now, but I'm going to take them off and clean that metal plate, because look at the back of it. And the rust is going to just seep through and probably affect the board if it hasn't already. I can see some of the MOSFETs or transistors have screws here of traces of rust. I'm going to have to clean all that as well. But for now, I'm that close to disconnecting everything, so I've just let the wires there. I'm going to pull out this guy. Can I actually disconnect this guy as well? Yeah, I'm going to have to pull him out altogether, but not for now. I'm going to just slide it back, disconnect the headboard, and then I'll be able to store that aside and work on it. Try and put this somewhere. I'm going to make a trolley as well. I want to make a trolley, so maybe after disconnecting the headboard and before I work on anything, I'm going to make a trolley on wheels where I can put this at sort of because this is a bit too high. I want it slightly lower so I can work on it comfortably. So let's do that. But yeah, it's not as bad as I thought. Well, it looks bad, but I mean a lot of it can be cleaned. Just have to make this. It has bulged so much. It must have been left outside or in a very, very damp space. So we're gonna make a back plate to this. Not sure does this cut or anyway. Let's keep working. Oh, the other thing I recommend is storing everything in little box, actually containers. All the screws for different areas. So here is all the screws that were taken from this board here. Here is all the stuff from the light assembly to reconnect it. And I'll do the same for the headboard. Let's keep working. Right, so I got the box down. This is actually the bottom. It should be like that. It's kind of funny looking at the pin without its head box. But I got all the bits out and all these screws saved. Pretty much every screw is here except one for here. It should be the same one as this. So I'm gonna probably not now. This should go here, but I will steep them in vinegar for a while. See if I can get that rust, all these bars, and then start working on them. But first, I just want to finish that box and just make that new back for it. So I'm gonna continue just removing as much as I can all the metal bars and all the fittings and stuff like that. I'm going to remove those corner stuff as well so I can clean them properly and then take this down. Okay, let's keep working. There's another piece of metal here. There's this bar here that I need to just clean and respray, and then I'll take these corners and see if I can get this out of here. Alright, so I've got the box here all stripped. There's no metal except for this ground thing, but I'll remove that in time. There was actually this was broken here. Sorry, come on. And there's actually, they wedge into each other. But here it was actually breaking around, so I'm just fixing it with a solid Gorilla Glue. Shouldn't touch it with my fingers. But anyway, and here I have all the metals, bits and stuff ready to go into a bath of, not Jack Daniels, but vinegar. So I'm gonna pour vinegar all over this. I'm just gonna check I don't have any more metal. These will be treated separately in a larger container. Yeah, this guy actually doesn't look too hot. See if I can detach it and then remove it and then clean this separately. Okay, let's do it. Last update for the day. So I made a small trolley on wheels. I think the wheels are probably a bit too small for it. Tiny little wheels, but it's just made this in about, I don't know, half an hour, just quickly, so I could actually just move this around easily and move in and out of the way. The other thing is, so I have here actually, I spotted this corner here as well needed some glue, so this is over there and here. I have a piece of wood and it's the right thickness, but it's too narrow, so I'm going to need to get just a bigger sheet of wood somewhere. Although this piece might actually be suitable for the changing that warped one, but actually looking at it, no, it's too thin. This is too thin. This over there is much thicker. So I need to get one of these, which is the right thickness and should be wide enough and long enough. But for here, and I don't want to do anything until I replace this to size. So that's the job. Tomorrow get a piece of wood that's big enough, and then cut it to size, put it back, and start cleaning the inside. Actually, I might clean and sand this part before I put it back. I put the back plate, and then I have all the metals. I'm gonna leave it outside in the shade, but it's kind of bubbling already. Let me see if I can switch on the light here. You can see it's already bubbling. I mean, this working here not so much, but these parts had a lot more rust than anything else. In fact, I could actually pour everything in the same thing, but I'm trying to separate big bolts, small screws, and just metal plates in different sections. So we'll leave that a day. It's going to be sunny tomorrow, so it should be a lot of heat created under here, and it'll speed up the process. Alright, so day 2 of working on this headboard. As you can see, I've made my back plate, drilled the holes here. So essentially this is this plate here. Still, one thing I will have to do is to just replace this guy. I actually forgot him to take it off, so I'm going to do that after, but it's all there. I'm going to have to measure exactly where it goes. So it's being glued and clamped in pretty much every possible angle, and I'm chilling with a lovely glass of wine now. But this is the back plate. Once that's back in place, well, I've already started cleaning all the metal bits. Remember, all these were very, very badly rusted, and they've actually cleaned up pretty well. Some of them are a bit more pitted than others. You can see this here. Come on, I could sand this down, but it's really mostly cosmetic. I've got the rust out, and this is actually going to go against the corner, so this side will be visible. It's still traces of pitting, but it doesn't matter. I'm actually going to cover them as well in just clear varnish, so just to seal them, so hopefully the rust won't come back. But I've most of the metal plates done. Come on, focus. I still have all the bolts and all the screws to do after that. But what I'm doing, I'm just using a vinegar bath, and I'm just sanding the rust down roughly with this sander. And for the one that were the most crusty, like this guy, I'm using just my bench grinder. Sometimes if it's flat, I can actually use it on the side. You can see the rust that's accumulated, and then just to finish them and go into the tiny crevices, I'm just using this wire brush. I'm not clamping or on the vise, but I'm just sitting it on the vise so it doesn't move side to side. You kind of have to be careful because it can actually just go sideways. So sometimes I just use a rope around here. It's just to keep it in place. It'll be better if I had a proper setup for this, but if you have a vise and a drill, it's a handy trick. Just don't clamp it, because you'll compress the motor. So yeah, that's what I've done so far. I need to take out that other plate that's at the back, because I forgot that, and leave that to soak overnight and tomorrow, and then I'll do that afterward. I'm sort of sorry I can't keep all this original work, but I can't really do much about that. Look at this. It's all broken and just so swollen and warped in every direction. And in fact, I discovered that the head had warped a tiny bit because all these angles were square. I checked them; they were actually just the right size. But when it came to having to put it in, I had to just use a bit of persuasion, so the head is now back straight and square. And gonna wait overnight before I remove the clamps for the glue to dry. Right, so day 3. Is it day 3? I think it is day 3 update. But the box here is all done. Well done. I got the back in place. So I used plywood instead of that chipboardy stuff. I've redone all the holes here, and used the other thing as a template and just measure everything. I've made my markers as well, but the board is going to go here. The other corner is here, and then there was a couple more things that needed markers, so I just made those on the other side as well, where holes are being drilled, so everything matches. And then, well, this was done yesterday. Really, I just unclamped and just tidied and clean. But this evening or today was essentially just spent, as you've seen, just polishing and spray painting these back, so these are nice and all glossy. So I've used what is it, 2 coats of paint and 1 coat of varnish, clear varnish, and it's just to protect them from re-rusting again, and hopefully it'll do the trick. Painted this black. This goes at the back and hooks onto this guy, just to prevent it from tilting forward. Come on, focus. This thing is it's kind of getting dark here, so it's having trouble focusing, but yeah, there you go, you get the idea. It's just the 2 coats of paint. Some of them were fairly, as you can see, so rusted they got pitted. The rust is actually ate into deeper in some areas than others, but overall they kind of came out okay. I might be able to correct that with just an extra coat of varnish and make it nice and glossy. And so this is all the bolts and nuts. I still have the individual little screws and things like that, but you know what, these guys, I don't mind too much buying new ones. I'll see how many of them I can actually just salvage, but it's taking a toll on my fingers. There's these guys actually that I use, that sort of star hex stuff, and there's not enough of them for me to justify keeping that format, so I might just replace them with just Phillips heads like these. There's only 2 of those Phillips heads, and the rest is that star stuff. But I might just buy new ones of that same size, but in that cross Phillips head. Interesting, there's only one of these guy, and it actually goes into the top section. So again, I think I'll just replace that with a Phillips one, and these little guys as well. So I'll just take one of each and then see if I can find a replacement. I might be able to just salvage all these, these a bit small, they're easily replaced. This guy will have to get replaced by a Phillips head. I still have to polish the bolts for the legs. I've already just dipped them in vinegar just to remove most of the rust, and it has certainly done that, but there's still a lot to remove, so I'll do this tomorrow. You can see there's still some rust on some of them Alright, day 4 is it? Day 4. But I haven't had a chance to do much. Well, I have done some, but it's not very visible. First, I cleaned those little screws. Just removed the rust on them and just wire wheeled to just to buff them and just really clean them thoroughly. It took a toll on my fingers. I've cracks and stuff, everything, but everywhere. But you can't do this with gloves, unfortunately. They're too small. I didn't bother with those guys. I'm just going to replace them with these guys that I have. I have these that are very similar but slightly longer, and I had some of the same length, so I'm just going to replace those. I think there was 4. I lost one. There's these guys that go on the topper that have that star shape thing, and these are going to be awkward at best, and actually they were awkward to remove because some of them are rusted inside. I choose the clamp, so I'm just going to replace them with those Phillips head ones. They're a bit longer, but actually they'll do just fine. They'll go a bit deeper. If not, I can replace them with those again, but they don't look as nice. I'm gonna have to paint the top black. That's the only thing. And while I was at it, I just tried to de-rust the leg bolts as much as I can. This one doesn't look too bad, but some of them are pretty bad. They're pretty rusted. They're dirty and they're covered in WD-40, but you get the idea. They came out okay, I mean, for a rescue job, but I think because these are part of the cosmetic of the look at this. Yeah, it's not rust, it's just pitted. But these go here and secure the legs together, well, to the cab, and because they're partly cosmetic, I might just get a new set altogether. I'll see. But yeah, so that lot is good. That took a while for us to find. I didn't have to buy anything. That was cool. I had a box of just spares and bits, so I think I'm going to be able to reuse all these, replace all those, and I'll decide on these. I still had bits as well that I cleaned, and also I started cleaning the metal parts here. So I've de-rusted them. Well, I've removed all the paint that was on it. So use some paint strippers, sanding, and a bit of elbow grease. I've cleaned all those, de-rusted them. Just put a coat of just metal primer on it, and I'll put a coat of black afterwards. And I still have this big piece to do, but I won't get to do that today, so hopefully tomorrow. This one is going to take a lot of sanding and work. I might see if I can get a product to de-rust them. I could use electrolysis, but I don't want to set up a whole bath for just one piece, so let's see. Alright, day 5, and got some progress here. So I got this is the top piece, just de-rusted it completely, and yeah, there was quite a lot of work to get all the rust off this. It's mostly sanding, some rust gel to get on the inside here. I can't use a vinegar bath because I don't have a whole container that big, but if you use a anti-rust gel, that'll convert it back to that black rust, and then you can sand most of it, or just use I think I used the wire wheel for the inside to get most of it done. You can see there's actually a lot of still a pitting here, but it's rust is gone, so that was good. So I got these things all now painted black. I'm going to put a clear coat on it, a few clear coats. Electronics off, all the boards off, this metal plate, and this was quite a tough one to work on, but I got all the rust off, and I've just applied there a coat of metal primer, sort of that metallic paint thing, but it acts as a metal protector and primer. I'm going to leave it like that and put another clear coat just to prevent rust from coming from the outside. But these had these little legs here as well, so the PCBs are off the board, and this is done by these guys. So I've taken all these off, dipped them in vinegar for most of the day. but just cleaning as much as I can and try to reuse most of the original parts wherever I can. Don't lose that. Some of the PCBs are at these screws because they're actually mounted on the wood directly. So there's a little plastic leg spacer, and then these are the long screws. So I saved those as well. What else? Well, I think that's it. It took quite a while. Oh yeah, and also I've started. I've primed the inside with a white paint. What I might do is just paint the edges that blue, but the back keep that white, keep that clear. If I need to access that, I might just keep it white up until here. Mind you, it was kind of like that. This was just barely painted here. The back was blue, but it'd be nice to make everything as clear and accessible as possible. So next I can't really do much more than that. I need to finish cleaning the thing. I'm going to reassemble the board hopefully tomorrow, but I'm waiting for the artwork, and there was a problem with the artwork. The thing I ordered actually had an issue. The glue had gone. It was just leftovers that guy had, so he's been very kind and he's reprinting a whole set of art. Day 6 and 7, so I have completely finished this thing. I'm going to put back the all those little tabs where the boards are secured. I had a few more screws and bolts to wash that were on some of the PCB, and I've completely removed all the lights. I'm bringing those here from the board, and I'm the front board, the light board, and I'm remaking it. So because it was bent, I'm actually clamping it in two corners, just using those blocks here just to flatten it so I can draw the outline, which I have done. And while it's here, I'm just drilling or starting to mark where those holes should go. So I'm just drilling them in place. I'm going to do this here as well for all those things that take bolts and all the these guys here. So or will I just mark them? Yeah, I'll just mark where they start and where they should be. Or will I just drill? Yeah, there's probably no point in me drilling because it'll be too big. But I'll just make markers somehow. What I've done also is I've numbered them, except this one I forgot it and I put an X at the last time. But I marked and numbered them, and I just put the number back on the light here. Here they were black, so I had to use little stickers. But at least I know where they're supposed to go back. Because it's a matrix, and you know, if one is out of place, it'll change the entire display, really, play field, and they won't light in the right place and that kind of stuff. So also something happened. Oof, I nearly fell. Something happened is this bit here, which is, where is it? Which is a coil, a knocker coil on the headboard, and this guy is supposed to just fly off and hit this piece here, which is a little rubber piece, but make a sound, and it's facing down so it doesn't fall, but comes in like that. But anyway, so here there should be a plate, a corner plate, and I can't for the life of me find it. It's gone. I kind of looked everywhere I could, but I just couldn't find it. Not too worried though. I have this piece of metal and I'm just going to make a new one. So I'm going to cut it, actually I'll cut this part here. I'm going to cut it here, and it comes in here. Sorry, it comes here and bolts here, so I'm gonna cut about here, drill a hole here just to guide this guy here, and should be good to go, hopefully. But it's a bit too wide as well though, so I think you can just get away with just leaving it wide like that. Wouldn't matter too much. But at least I need to cut this bit here, drill 2 holes so it can bolt in there, and then just cut somewhere here. I'll do it properly, measure that, but I'll have to replace this bit. I just cannot find it. Luckily I didn't lose too many screws. When you're running these on the wire wheel, they have a tendency to fly off, and that's happened a few times, but I've always caught them back. So fingers crossed I have all the screws that I need. I can always replace one or two, that's not a big deal, but there's just so many. Some here, some over there, some here. I try to place, arrange them in different containers per type, so at least I don't mix them and lose them too much. It's not nearly as impressive as I thought, but I mean, here there's about 30 already, so, and here there's just as many. Like I think I probably polished or just wire wheel about a good 150 bolts. These I don't know what I'll do with them, I haven't decided, but that's a long way away yet. The other thing is I actually got some paint, but it doesn't quite match. I got one of those books, and I brought photos of that paint, but it doesn't come out the same way. So I've tried a few samplers here. You can see the shade here. It's not quite the same color. I've added a bit of red just to match that blue, because either that's faded, but I'm not exactly the same blue on here and here as well. So I'd say that's faded. You can see here actually that's faded. So I don't know what to do. I think what I'll do is I'll just wait until I get the decals for here and for over there, and then I'm gonna bring one to a shop and get the color matched there as close as possible, and then be done with that. I was going to paint the back with that blue, but if it doesn't match, I'll have to redo it. I'll have to repaint it again. I suppose I could use that blue as a primer anyway. I'll see how much paint I can get, but I'll just yeah, I need to wait until I get the decals first, and then I can decide what I want to do. Which is frustrating, because I can't put things back on until I get that blue. I suppose I could just paint that here and then start putting stuff back in. Would that make sense? No, because I need to take those corner bolts that are here when I apply the decal, and to take those off I'll have to take the board, all the board and all that kind of stuff. So I need to put those first in when I reassemble. So I can only do that when I have the decals there. So it's a bit frustrating. I'm losing a bit of time, which is why I started on this board over there, and then if they haven't arrived, I'll start making a new one and cleaning that as well. So I'll need a lot more container for all the screws, but that's okay. I've everything more or less organized now at this stage. So it's just yeah, it's a bit frustrating that I can't see any of the progress. But when it comes to putting it back together, it's going to go really fast. So look forward to that. Anyway. Alright, here's the final knocker assembly thing. This goes down like that on the headboard. Why is this so dark? Maybe it's just my phone. But anyway, so yeah, I'm glad I took the time to make a new piece. Although I will probably find it once everything is done. It'll probably pop out of nowhere and be looking at me going, did you even look? But anyway, there you go. That's done. There you go. So my holes drilled wherever there should be holes drilled, and here I think it was just 2 screws, but I've marked where they should go, just to align the pieces of metal. I have the piece entirely cut here, so I'm just drilling the holes here, just using one of these guys that is the right size. I actually made a pilot hole there on this piece, just to check that it was indeed, and the light fittings just fit right. So what I'm doing is just going halfway on one side and then just going the rest of the way on the other side. If you actually just pierce away a hole through there, this is what happens. I actually didn't mean to do that. I was trying to stop halfway, but the drill actually went all the way through. So anyway, but you should get a clean hole like that. So okay, I mean I can patch this with bondo if really I'm worried about it, which I might just do. First I'll sand everything. I'll finish here, sand everything, patch it, whatever needs to be patched, and then we can start painting it white. I will paint it white on both sides, which wasn't the case for this guy. It was only painted on one side, but when you're painting a piece of wood, especially something like that, that creates surface tension. So actually that shouldn't be too bad, it's so thick, but it's still good practice when you paint a piece to paint it on both sides, just to get the same surface tension on either side. Anyway, I'll keep going here. There you go, this is the light box. Now I have a nice straight one compared to this old bend shape. This was is nice and straight and clean. Although if I touch it with my greasy fingers it won't stay clean for too long, but that doesn't matter too much. I've actually put back all the metal pieces here and here, just to get them out of the way for now. And the other thing here is I've cleaned all these boards and put them back on the metal plate. Cleaned this as well, just de-rusted and just cleaned them with some alcohol. I've actually spotted, which is surprising because let me see if I can use more light. No, I want more light. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I spotted a few burnt components. It says, are they caps of sorts? There's two here. There's one here, and God knows what burnt in this area. I actually haven't looked at what these boards do yet, any of the schematics, but I will address this last. I know the board started at some point, so I'm not too worried about the electronics, really. And it's kind of what I do on the channel, so I'm pretty confident. Now, especially after the auto pinball, I'll be able to fix this, whatever it is, if there is an issue afterwards. But I'll replace these, and I'll address all this last when it comes back, you know, to putting it back together. I got all my whatever trimmings, whatever they're called, just corner pieces, finished here, and the box. And well, I'm still waiting for the artwork, but it's the weekend since the last segment on this guy, so I can't do much more on this part of the build until I get the artwork and I can color match the rest. So I've already done this, so next I'm gonna start on this guy, just taking it apart, cleaning everything, putting it back together. I know it works as well. I have a spare one of these anyway, so if it comes to it, but I'm sure this one was working and it'll work again. This, I'm not sure what to do. It's crimpled. Might be able to sort of iron it back together, but I need to detach it from there, and it's glued on. I'm not sure. I don't think repros are available because you can see this metallic thing, and it would react with those lights. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I at least need to just clear. Look at the yellowing here. Should I retrobrite it at some point? Retrobrite only works for a while, and then, you know, it comes back. But maybe if I retrobrite it, just to give a bit more life back into the plastic, and then just spray paint it purely for cosmetic, that might work. But this, I'm not sure exactly how to get the crimpling out of it. But actually, if you know how to do that, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know how you do. I was thinking about detaching it and maybe ironing it out under it. So I have the display board all clean, but the wood at least. I just applied a fresh coat on both sides, just sanded back to the wood, all the dirt and grime, and then just apply some protective paint on either side. I also just did a few touch-ups on these guys, the Williams logo. So these go here, and then we have this plate here going somewhere like that here, and the other way around. But before I do that, also I've cleaned all the metals, all the screws and all this kind of stuff, all these. I replaced the nuts by these lug nuts here. They're kind of handy to detach without the need of anything. clean all these, so I removed all the rust. So I still have to remove the rust on these guys, on the speakers. I'm just gonna see if I can first protect this, maybe put some masking tape and just very, very gently go at it with the wire wheel, and then just apply a coat of protective paint again, just to prevent the rust from settling back. So I'm going to do this now, and we'll see what we get. There you go. I decided to actually just put a clear coat on these, and I'll just paint them. But yeah, remove as much of the rust as I could. Put all the stuff back on. Didn't lose any part other than a little bit of a problem. I lost one of these connectors. So this is a double connector, and they're only connected to one thing. So this one was still here, but this one fell. It's the same connector. It should be actually the same one. I took a few pictures, and if you know where I can find these, or first what they called, I might look at the manual for that. But if you know where I can find these type connector, come on, focus at least on my hands. Yeah, if you know where I can find these, because I won't need it until I start reconnecting everything. So I might find it in between, but if not, it would be useful to actually have a few spares of this type of stuff. It's kind of cool because you crimp them and then you just slide the crimp into the connector here. So it's handy because it means that you can actually just detach stuff easily, and you don't lose the connector. Anyway, there you go. That's this guy done. Next thing, I need to move on to this restoration of this fella. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to bring this inside actually and try to do it there from my desk. Remove this carefully, clean all the plastic, see if I can retrobrite it. It's going to take a while, but retrobrite it maybe, and then just apply a coat of paint just to freshen it. Fix this. Might have to yeah, melt back the plastic here and here, and then use some filler and re-drill a hole, or maybe just put a little piece in place while I kind of use filler. I'm going to use plastic filler, melted plastic or something like that. Or should I use fiberglass? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll use fiberglass for this. Over there as well, it's pretty beat up. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to fix, but it'll be a shame to not to try and fix this. This is not a common piece. This topper, it often goes missing, and the box that goes on top is missing. Anyway, this is the this guy at least restored. Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, it looks much better. Alright, so let's put this aside and then move on. Oh man, this is not looking good. As soon as I touch this guy, see, this is peeling here. So I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna have a look online. Maybe this repros of these. It'd be such a shame to lose this. I don't want to leave it like that. That looks horrible. This crease here. It's all bubbling up here. It's actually completely detached here. Yeah, don't know what to do. I'm gonna stop this for now, and I need to just look online what my options are. Okay, so following the advice of some people online, I actually just went ahead and stopped any attempt at removing this. Instead, what I did is I used some epoxy glue and some super glue, but I used the epoxy glue to actually just stick back what was peeling off, what the cardboard back to the plate here, as best as I could. And essentially what people told me is that I will destroy this piece of art if I try to remove it, really. The artwork will peel off from the back. It's just too flimsy, and repros aren't available, especially because of that shiny stuff. So the best thing I could do is just accept that we have some creases here and there, and then just glue it back and be done with it. I want to do a bit more than that. So I've glued back stuff. I've used some tiny amounts of super glue just spread on a brush just to glue back what was peeling off here. There was another big chunk here, a few bits here and there, and that worked okay. So what I want to do next is to clear coat this. I'm just going to use a clear coat to seal it so that it doesn't peel off anymore, or at least not that soon. And then once I've that clear coated, I'm going to actually just color match some of these little spots here, here and here, just to see if I can just hide the damage a little bit. And then here you can see there's two big chunks here where the silver has gone off. I'm actually going to try to silver leaf coat this. It'll look better anyway than just well, I'll see when I get the silver leaves, but it'll look better than having just this an ugly piece of cardboard. Come on, focus. Yeah, that doesn't look very nice, and it's on the crease, so it's going to be tricky, but with just a fine brush and some glue, and then I can see silver leaf over just whatever is cardboard and gone here. So those two big areas, I think there's a couple more. There's another one here, a tiny bit of silver leaf, and then the rest just try and color match as best as I can. Come on, focus. If I change the color match as best as I can these patches. The other thing I've done is I fixed the plastic here. Well, at least some of it. So this corner here, I've just used a soldering iron and a bit of sanding back, and then some filler. And I've done this here too as well. It doesn't look too great, but it's better than a big crack. I might just use some filler just to hide some of the holes, and then just color match it to that sort of white yellow color. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to take a while. It's probably going to take me the week. I want to just clear coat it, color match. It's going to take a while, and the silver leaf at the end, and then another coat of another clear coat, layer of clear coat. So just two very thin, but just to seal stuff, and just accept that it's that's what I have to deal with. That's just not much I can do about that if I want to keep the original art, which is nice because it'll react with the shiny stuff, the lights. There's lights coming here that makes this look like it's moving. So that's just the way it is. The other bit of good news, well, not that was good news, but at least I know the path I want to take is I got the artwork finally. So I'm gonna bring this to a shop and see if I can match the color as close as I can, and I can go ahead with the head box and putting the art back on the head box, and hopefully we'll be done with that at the end of this video. For me, at the end of this weekend. But yeah, so let's keep working. Next job is to get some clear coat this, wait to dry, and then go and color match this guy. The one phase of the process done. I've touched up some of the areas. It'd be hard pressed to find them really now. Yeah, there's one big visible one here, but I mean, you wouldn't know it's here really. There was a few here. There was a couple here. There was a big sort of a crack. I forgot where it was. It was from here to down here. I've touched up this this patch here, and a big area here. Here the paint was gone from here, so there's actually a lot of spots where this was gone, and it took a while just to get the right color, and there was a big area here, and so it took a while just to match exactly the color. There's a lot of blemishes here actually. I've touched up a lot more than I thought I would, because there's some areas that were not peeled off but scratched, and then I just went ahead, I need to redo this. It was actually just a blemish, but I put a tiny bit of paint on it, but it's still visible, a lot less though than it was. I'll correct this. But overall, I mean, it's quite nice. That big spot here was kind of tricky to match because there was so many colors. It was all here. It was just a big crack going along here, and it was running over this and this area. But yeah, it came up quite nice. So next I need to do some silver leafing, and what I'll do once I silver leaf it, I'll probably use very thin diluted colors, so I try to match that kind of waterfall effect with a tiny bit of a grayer paint here, maybe match it with some blue paint, I think here will be okay, and should be done. It should be okay. It looks, well, it looks like it's crumpled, but it's a lot better than it was, to be honest. So let's keep working. This is the Rye Blue. So I've started, obviously, as you can see, painting. I still have some touch-ups to do at the back, but more importantly, all the edges and all the visible stuff is going to be seen and are done. And look at that, I have it's beautiful, beautiful artwork repro done and already on it. So I'm going to do the other side, and then I can start reassembling this whole thing. Yeah. Oh, this is. I'm so happy because now I can start putting this away and focusing on the body. But let's get this finished first. Also the other thing I wanted to show you is here. So this is finally the top artwork. So I've put all my silver leaf in. You can make it out here and here. You can see that the blue isn't coming right to it. I was going to just try and patch it, but to be honest, I mean, this is going to be quite far away. You won't be able to see it. The only thing you can see is this crease here, which, you know, I can't really do much about. I tried to flatten it and remove that crease as much as I could, but it kept peeling off the artwork. So there's a few other patches here of all the leaf, silver leaf. Did I say silver leaf switch? Silver leaf, and then patching the artwork. I actually forgot now where the artwork was patched there in the sky. I know one of the letters, I think it's here, there was a big giant crack. You can't see any of that actually. I'm pretty happy with the result. So yeah, there you go. This is done, and it actually looks quite well. I've put a clear coat as well on top of it, so it's nice and shiny now, and hopefully it'll last a few more years. But this was the trade-off. I couldn't really repro it nice and clean. We can only salvage what's here, and I'm actually glad I did. It was a bit of extra work, but it was worth it. And so now, well, I have all these parts ready to go. This part ready to go. So let's finish putting the art together, and yeah, hopefully we'll have a nice head box. That's it, folks. We are done with the head box. I put everything back in place. Probably need to remove those bulbs here. They're all fried, but I'll do that when I, you know, put all the electrics back together. I actually used I was able to remove the sticker from the original light plate, so I put it here, and well, it's all working and tidy inside. And I don't know if you remember from the previous video how crusty and well, disgusting really it was inside here. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The artwork is actually, you know, I wasn't sure about this crease, but I really don't notice it that much, especially considering you see this from a distance. These cleaned up well as well, and the repro art is actually really nice. I'm really pleased with it. That was worth the wait. I can pretty much put the back plate on it. Actually, I'll do this now. This is it. Well, it's taken a while. It's taken actually 4 weeks just to restore this piece alone. But now that it is, I'm going to be able to just move it away. I'm probably going to move it to this blue shed over there, and then out of the way, out of the dust, and focus now on this guy. What I plan to do is remove the play field, maybe put it aside or put it again somewhere where I'm not going to, you know, crush a piece. It's going to be interesting to store, because I'm going to have to find just props. I actually have pieces of wood here that I've cut to size, so I can prop different areas of the playfield so it doesn't sag and it sits nicely. But I'm not sure. I think I'll put it here somewhere while I can work on the body and cut stuff and all that. So I'm going to have to clear all that. But for now, I'm going to move this away. Man, this is this looks good. I have to say I'm pretty happy with it. Hopefully we'll see, you know, if all the electronics work once we reassemble everything, but at least it's rust free. All the parts, actually the wood on the back has been replaced as well and painted, and I was able to match that blue, which is just as cool. It's hard to get a good angle when it's matching, but it's nice and glossy, and it came out really well. So it is time to start on the second part of this pinball project, which is restoring the body. As you can see, I've already started some work on it, namely stripping the entire body, and yeah, this took quite a while. I've all the parts actually isolated and separated in different little containers, individual containers. So one area has all the screws and everything for that part, etc., etc. And I took pictures every time I was taking something off. There's a couple of things I couldn't remove, is these guys. I'll try maybe with a better pliers just to unscrew these, but these are fairly rusted, so I might have to restore them with just a drill on the wire wheel directly here. We'll see how that goes. Otherwise, actually I need to take this guy off as well. Otherwise, it's pretty much everything removed. I've kept these for now, all these things here, because they're not in the way. Doesn't matter if they get painted, well, I'll leave them here for now. I might remove them afterwards. I still have a grill to remove. And as you can see, the bottom is gone. This was the bottom, and yeah, there's some, it's hard to show on the camera, but there's some very, very visible bulging. In fact, it didn't take much to remove it. I literally just pressed with the hand on 4 corners, and this thing popped right out. The edges here were all just worn. So yeah, that's gonna be the first thing I need to do. I'm gonna, well, first clean this here, clean everything, try to remove these things, and then we're gonna make a new bottom that is nice and sound. I'll repaint all this from, because the play field will be here somewhere, so most of this here I'll repaint it white, so it's nice and clean and clear if I need to access stuff inside. Clean all that, and then there's the issue of these guys, the laminating here, but these can be glued back. I'm not worried about that. And here, actually, let me see if I can just flip this onto the other side just to show you. I can do this with one hand pretty much, but the artwork here, as you can see, started. Oh, come back. Started taking off the artwork because well, the entire piece of wood is delaminating, so it's taking off this piece of wood with it. And a lot of people have suggested that I buy or remake a new cabinet. It's going to take a lot of wood. I don't have plans for it. I'm sure they're available somewhere, but I just want to save as much as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the art completely, leave this layer here, and then I still have a ton of well, that's some of it here, but I've loads and I've loads more in my shed of just fiberglass cloth. In fact, I've entire rolls of fiberglass cloth in my back shed there, that I use for surfboards. So I'm just going to laminate a thin layer of fiberglass and resin. Still have some resin, and it should actually just level back to this wood. So I'll be able to actually have a nice flat surface. I'm going to use the same technique as I use for surfboards. Just you know, have some paper around the edges just to prevent the dripping, and then let the resin actually just find its level. It'll actually plug all these holes. It'll give me a nice smooth finish. I can sand it back afterwards, and we should be level here. There's a couple of areas here that I'm going to have to just either well, take out and let the resin fill it, or just glue it back. Here I'll probably glue it back. The only thing I'm gonna have to remake is this guy, this top part. Some of the kind of chipboardy stuff here, and it's kind of structural. Well, structural stuff hangs off that, and as you can see, it's just delaminated way too much. So this piece I'm gonna have to remake. It's not a big deal, but the rest is sound, and this is the worst side. this side isn't too bad. So it's going to take less resin. I'm going to peel as much as I can of that just rotted, and it's not rotted, it's the laminated wood. Here it's peeling as well, just like the other side. And then there's this back one as well. I think it's just this layer that's laminating. So if I can actually just take all this off, I'm going to take pictures of all these stickers so I can actually repro them afterwards, just with a printer, because they're all just black and white. This I'll see. I'll take pictures of all of it anyway. Maybe I can just repro stuff myself and take all this out, and it doesn't matter actually here if there's just one thin layer missing. It's not something you'll see, and plus I'd rather get rid of that, fix what's behind that. It's probably gonna have tiny little holes here and there. Use bondo and then paint it back black after that. So really it's this piece here, this which is going to take a bit of work and ingenuity, and this large piece just to make a new one. I'm going to use plywood because clearly this chipboard stuff, just wherever there was chipboard, it just takes on moisture, and that's that, and it just swells and bulges. That's no good. So yeah, making another one of these. Oh, and I have the playfield here under this child killing cloth. It's here. I've had it propped on, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 pieces of wood just to keep it level and so it doesn't, you know, collapse under its own weight. This is going to take, I mean, I think this is the one that's going to take me the most time, really. I can see little pieces that are broken here. This mountain stuff, you can see this is broken. So it's going to be a lot of fiberglass repairs, stuff like that. Protecting this guy from dust, but I have the cloth now. So here, yeah, I'm going to see what I can do to just maximize so I don't have to take out stuff again. And probably I have to order an entire bulb kit. See if these exist. Maybe a few rejob kits for the coils and all that, but that's way down the line. First I want to get the body work all finished, so let's get working on this guy. Okay, so I started clamping the sides on this guy because, well, there's one, that top layer here was slightly delaminating on the edge, so I'm just gluing it back and clamping it down, and it's been clamped overnight, the past 24 hours actually now, so it's ready to come off. There was small pieces of wood that here that I needed to glue back and clamp back. They'll be fine. It'll save me having to just buy new wood, because good wood is expensive, and I'm trying to do this as best as I could on a shoestring budget, if you will, but it's feasible. So I just have to buy one piece for here. Oh, and also I have to remove that top piece that was over there. Let me show you. Just that cover, and it came off all as one pretty much. I was able just to gently hammer it out, so I've saved all the those corners. I'm gonna just clean them. They're actually still good. I'm gonna reuse them. I'm gonna have to make another one of these pieces, so there's actually 3 pieces we're glued together here. That thin edge top here, maybe it was just machined out of one piece, but I'm gonna make it in 3 pieces and glue them together. I'm gonna use that wood over there, and so that's what I'm gonna do next. I've started painting the inside. I'll put a couple of coats of white. You don't want to paint it white all the way here, because there's an edge here, and this is gonna be, it's gonna have to stay black, but I'll repaint it black properly so we get a uniform black, but halfway I'm sort of gonna create this, and it'll make things easier to see inside if I need to fix stuff, and because it gets really dark in there, and it'll be easier to clean, it'll be cleaner in general, and yeah. So that's the plan. So next, yeah, that's my goal today. I'm gonna make this piece, finished painting inside, unclamp, and then if I have time today, I have a lot of metal to clean. By the way, on the leg bolt pieces, at Sears, isn't it? I have found, I forgot I had them, but I've a few of these leg bolts as spare already. Forgot I had them, so I'm going to use well, as many as I can, at least for the front. I think I should have 4 anyway for the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I have enough. I have I've more here. I think these are the old ones from the other pinball. Yeah, they're still clean enough, so I might be able to use these instead, and get away with just throwing the other ones, because they're fairly gone. The other thing on those legs is, where are they? Where did I put them? Oh, they're down there. Yeah, so these are, but this is one of the legs here, as you can see, badly rusted. I put them already in just de-rusting gel, just keep it under control. So it's got sort of that, not as red, but that black kind of rust, and then that's mostly surface rust. It actually comes off pretty well if you use just a wire wheel. But as you can see, it's so pitted that I think I have no choice but sand it way down. I could buy a new one, but it's gonna, you know, it's just expenses, and I might be able just to rescue these and get them back shiny. If not, I'll have to send them to get powder coated. There's nobody doing chrome in Ireland. There's one company I was in touch with, and they do sort of industrial chrome finish. It'll probably be like this, and it's like, actually it's not even that. It'll still be shinier, but it's not that kind of nice cosmetic chrome finish. So I think the option, and it would be cheaper to powder coat, and anyway they haven't gone back to me. I did actually ask them, so the option is to send them to England, shipping and all that. That's going to be costly, and I'm still trying to do this Sunday, you know, with keeping the budget under control. So I think I'm just going to have first attempt at just sanding them down. Might be the occasion to buy myself a sander, what it is, yeah, blast sander compressor. You can get them quite cheap nowadays, so I might see that. I'll see if I can first address this, because all of these edges are going to be tricky to sand down, but I might be able to do that anyway. So I'll try this first, see if I can sand it back down to just nice and shiny, and if that works, I'll do the same on the other ones. Alright, so this is a sort of before. Actually this one was so badly rusted, and after, it's not too bad. I still have some a bit of polishing to do, but I think, you know what, for what it is and for restoration, I don't think it's too bad. I'm gonna have to find just a smaller head, sanding head for my my sander here, but other than that, this is just the raw, come on, focus, there you go, just the raw sanding. I used an angle grinder with sanding pads, and then just this wire wheel, on focus, and then this sander here after, with a, I think it's a 600 head on it, and it's a bit too big, so I'm gonna see if I can find something smaller just to go in those crevices. I'm not gonna bother doing much on the back. It's pitted here, but it's not rust, just it's pitting and it's darkening. I'll probably do another, just maybe a really thick wire wheel pass, just to keep it clean. WD-40, more interested in the front. So I think we'll get away with the stainless look here. You can see, if you look closely, I mean, there's still some pitting. It's not going to be visible because it's going to be on the bottom, but at least we can reuse these. That's the goal. First, keep it cheap, but reuse as much of the original cab as we can, and I think this will do that. So I still have some work on this. I need to just, you know, polish it better. I'm going to do a bit of research, finding some smaller sanding pads for my sander. But we are on the right track, and the good news is I can do it myself for cheap. Don't need to send them for sanding and recoating and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, continuing the work on the body here, I've actually stripped the front here. I'm just gluing back some of the edges because some of them was just slightly, ever so slightly delaminating here, so I'm just gluing things back together. I've done all this here on the edges. I'm starting to repaint. That's actually worked out well. Here we'll have those things, so I'm just going to use some filler just to even out the thing. I don't need to glue anything back here. Just using some wood treatment, wood hardener as well, some of these areas that had darkened, just to prevent dry rot. But I think we're okay now. Cab, all these things that were actually just popping off or delaminating off, all this section here is glued back. Let me get here. So glued this back here as well. It's making the entire thing a lot more solid, so that's nice. Just treating here for with some hardener and here and here, but it's actually just, I'm just being sort of finicky and paying attention to details like that now at this stage, but it doesn't really need to. So I'm going to fill this as well with some filler. I'm going to start peeling this off. So to peel it off, I'm actually just using a heat gun. It's going slow, but it's actually, there's nowhere over here that was problematic, so I'm hoping it'll be the same stuff. Yeah, you can see I'm going to have to just fill all this back flush. So still a good bit of work left on the just the body stuff, and then once I'm all done with that, I'm going to look at the making the bottom. And here I'm just gluing these parts together on this guy, which is the top here, so it'll be ready to go hopefully tomorrow. I have the flanges that go here just soaked in WD-40 now. I've actually de-rusted them, so they'll all be nice and shiny. And right now I'm just working on well, just repolishing all these guys. So the rubber was gone. I put in new. I had a spare rubber actually from my other bin, so I just put it there. This one came out really well. It's very tarnished and rusted. I've already done. Actually, I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I used a lot of fine sandpaper with this guy, and the rails here as well. Finished them with I think it was 600 sandpaper here, and this is 120 or sorry 1200 sandpaper. Really came out gorgeous. So I'm going to keep doing that for the day while all this dries. As you can see, I've done this guy as well. It's just de-rusted this fella. I can't really sand it back down, but at least it's nice and clean. As you can see, it's shiny because there's WD-40 just to protect it. As the rain outside, just what else? I've cleaned this guy as well. I should probably do the screws. I'm actually going to do all the screws on this as well. So I still have a lot of just cleaning, all this kind of stuff. I'm going to start on these here and this big power transformer, just to remove the rust from it. Oh, I was looking for that. So there you go. Still a good bit of work. Actually, I'll do this guy next. Yeah. Last update for the day. So I have my that piece now redone. It's getting glued and clamped. Might have just to bondo the edge a bit just to make it smooth, but it's actually hidden. There's a piece that comes here that actually hides all that, and the glass will slide onto that piece. But yeah, it's getting glued now. You can see that Gorilla Glue, it just expands and foams like that. So I'll have to clean all that once that's done. I've started just painting the edges black here just to keep it clean, and then white on the inside. Do the same on the outside. So it's not much I can do. I've been cleaning a lot of all the metal parts. You see the transformer here. I coated it with a just black anti-rust. Well, I sanded it down, sanded all the rust off with the wire wheel. And let's see, this is quite heavy. Here, it's easier to see. Yeah, so sanded all the rust off and just clean it as best as I could. Actually, could have a cleaning here. And then just applied just a coat of black metal paint just to prevent the rust from coming back. Put 2 coats of that. And I did the same thing, and they're drying right now. Well, drying. I suppose they're drying. It's kind of wet though outside with those 2, so I want to keep them metal. So this is the power inlet, and this is a fuse box that actually sits on the power thing is over there, and that hole, and the box will sit here. But it'll be nicer than all black and sanded. It was actually tricky just to sand the rust on the inside, so I had to pry this box open and use just a combination of sanding pads, Dremel bits and all sort of stuff. But it's done now. I'm pretty much done with this side of the lamination, so it doesn't look great. See if I can get some height. It doesn't look great. Well, it looks all right. It just it looks all patchy. So what I've done here is I've used some fiber cloth. You can see the traces of the fiber cloth and resin, and just did multiple layers. Well, just one layer of fiber cloth just to bring it level with that wood, and then applied a layer of resin just to soak it. The resin is great because it actually just seeps into the wood as well, just bonds the wood and the fiber cloth together. And so it's the same process as you'd laminate a surfboard, just lay the sheets. I had to cut just sort of 2 sides. There's 2 sections, one that was like this and the other one that was like this, because I kept the offshoot of the nose of a surfboard, and it gives you those kind of sort of wedgy shapes. So it was perfect. So I used that over here, another one on the other side, and just overlap them here. So I had to sand back a good bit, so you can see the multiple resin pores. So when you do one layer, and given that it was sort of uneven and on a material I wasn't used to, you get kind of bumpy stuff. So I sanded it back down, put another layer of liquid resin as well, just to even out the stuff. And then I'm just finishing here with kind of isopon bondo type stuff, just to flatten everything out. But I think I pretty much got it fairly well corrected. I used a ruler just to check that it was indeed flush and flat, and it seems to be. I mean, in some areas there might be a small dip, but you won't see that overall with I mean, in some areas, like, there's no little bumps or anything like that, but you know, over there might be slightly lower than here if it were to be flat, but that's not a big deal. You can't see it with the naked eye. Even with a ruler, I couldn't see anything. Oh, actually, there's a small gap here. That's gonna come out with the sanding, though. Or maybe I should do a little bit. See this little patch here? Yeah, I need to correct that because I missed that. Let me see. Like, here is pretty good. Yeah. So I need to do a last, just general light sanding. Where was this area? Was it here? Yeah, it was here. Yeah, I did miss this, so I need to correct this. You can actually see the edge of the wood. Won't focus. Yeah, probably too close for my phone. But anyway, so I'm just gonna mix a tiny bit of bondo. Just come back to this area. There's another small one here. So stuff like that you want to correct, but because it'll create, you know, air bubbles under your decal. But other than that, I'm just going to correct that, but it's fine. The other thing I've done is I've glued, and I've done the same here. Just use bondo just to have, you know, it's just a fairly flush come on, layer. I'm going to repaint all this black afterwards. I had some issues here. I had some delamination, more than I thought, so I'd corrected here, but it was actually still bubbling here. So I actually just use a knife, sharp knife, just cut a slit here and here, and then use some very liquid wood glue to go under everything, use some masking tape and a piece of wood just to keep everything flush, and then just clamped it together overnight. And now I'm just sanding it back down flush. It's actually even nice and smooth now, even though it looks kind of funky. But I'll do a final very fine sanding, and then it'll be ready for respray. But here, I mean, this is feeling much sturdier already, and just much cleaner in general, although it doesn't look great, but that's just the way when you work with resin, it looks okay, trust me. So next, final sanding, and I've sourced a piece of wood for the bottom, so I'm just going to go and collect that as well, probably tomorrow in time, and I'll be able to start rebuilding the bottom. There you go, that's the sides sanded here. It's actually lovely and smooth now. I'm really happy with the result. Oh, that's it. Is that paint? Yeah. Anyway, really happy with the result actually, and yeah, it's pretty much ready to take the overlay, but you know, we won't do that yet. The other thing I've done is, well, I've made the bottom, so it's on its front, it's the bottom, and it's just being glued there for the moment. So it's gonna take I'd say overnight. I've had this for a few hours already. I'd say the glue is probably strong enough, but it's good practice to sort of leave it for at least 18-20 hours. So I'll do that, and I'll be able to remove the clamps tomorrow. Holy crap! Oh my god. Yeah, it's pouring. It is coming here. Right, end of the day here. Finally removed all the decal here, and I've just patched here. Just need to do a final little there's a little sort of gap here, patch. You can see the difference in edge, so it'll create an edge if I don't do that, at least smooth out the transition. I missed some here, that's okay though. And read on the back as well, just bondo the back, and I'll paint that blue actually, just like the blue on the decals instead of black. As you can see, I started fitting back stuff in here. Pretty much put everything back that I can for now. I've decided to actually paint, this should be all done. Yeah, paint the speakers. So just some paper here, just masking paper, just to mask off the back here. But yeah, just because I thought it probably would need to be protected, because I did sand it down, there was some rust, so I just applied 2 coats of just black protector paint, rust paint, and 1 coat of varnish, and I'm going to put it back. But just to go back to Pinball here, all these guys, all this section here, there's not much more I can do other than by putting back the speaker and the harness. Because all the other fittings have actually stuff on the outside, so I need to start putting the decals on. So what I've done here, because I'm not sure exactly how the edges are going to end up like, so I'm just painting the corners with the blue. As you can see, I had some left over, but it'll provide a sticky primer anyway, and here as well, and over there as well, so that way all the corners, or at least these corners, which would be the most visible ones, the legs are going to come here, but there's still going to be something visible here. At least there'll be some blue there, so I'm going to wait overnight for this to dry, and tomorrow I'll be able to start applying the artwork. But the sides are looking good, the inside as well, and yeah, very happy with the way this wood restoration came out. So let's finish this, and then I'll be able to move on to the playfield, which is over there. But I need to put this away as well. So I skipped a few steps here. Well, not really, but I kept going, putting the cab back together. And right now I'm just doing the final bit here. I'm de-rusting the door. It's pretty badly rusted. Surface rust, but the artwork was, the paint, sorry, was just peeling off, flaking off pretty bad. Still some areas here that's proving a bit hard to remove, but just using the wire wheel for that for now. And even with paint remover, I can't seem to get them to detach. I might do a last run now that it's a bit thinner. Maybe that'll work. Here it's pretty much gone. There's some traces here still of paint, so I might, yeah, actually I'll do another run, and then I'll just I got some rust remover as well, so I'll just do I'll treat it with that, sand it down, well, just wire wheel it, just to get everything nice and clean, and I'll be able to start respraying. I'm gonna put a primer and then a few layers of black. Yeah, with a day of drying in between each coat, so that way the previous coat is nice on it. I might see if I can get the texture back using you can use a sponge or a cloth or something like that, just to get a bit of texture. I'll put one layer, and maybe start doing that on the second layer. We'll see. But other than that, I mean, I have pretty much everything here reconnected. All the metals, all the front here is all here. It's all nice and clean. There's no more rust. This fella, and then these guys as well, where the head pivots. So happy days. Funny enough, one of these screws broke. It should be one of these. It's not screws, they're just and I don't have any of these, and to be honest, I could order them, but I'm not paying, you know, shipping and all that just for one bit. So what I did is I used just a screw that I sanded down. I might need to sand it again. Just put it in my drill, and then just ran it over a few different grits of sandpaper. But all in all, we're getting to the end of this body restoration. I got everything connected back. I'm glad I took all the photos, so that way I knew where everything was. It's nice and clean. So now the last bit is this door, so that's what I'll be doing this weekend. Here's an update on the legs. So this is the leg that I cleaned up a while back. Let me get outside, see if I can get a better shot. But as you can see, it's just really hard to sand properly and clean up, and the rust is coming back in places. So I'm gonna bring this to a powder coating place. I think I need to forget the idea of keeping them stainless like that. So they will sandblast it, kind of like what I got done for the cocktail table. They'll sandblast it, get all the rust out, and then powder coat it. And I'm going to go with a black powder coat. I've seen photos of a few whitewaters actually with black legs, so that'll work out. Seems to be what people go for anyway when they can't just restore their legs. I know the option, or a lot of people would recommend probably getting them chromed, but there's nobody doing chrome in Ireland. I'll have to send them to the UK. It'll be much more expensive, or buying new legs, and these will also be expensive. So I think the cheaper option here is to get them powder coated. I'm working on a budget, so I appreciate the recommendations, but yeah, the money is really the determinant factor in this restoration. The good news, however, is that this guy, the body here, is done. Now this was the side that had all this delamination, and I'm pretty happy. I can't really see where the I added my laminate, so it's really worked out well. I polished everything here, repainted these, put everything back in. You saw that. So this is not, well, this is sanded and clean, derusted, but I put some chrome paint, and it's not chrome, it's not like stainless chrome, but it just, it'll provide some protection. These I painted black because I've no other explanation than because everything here is painted white. It'll make it easier and cleaner and more visible to access and just look at stuff if I need to maintain this or repair or fix anything down the line. I've been told, I wasn't aware that some people don't like painting inside apparently because it causes problems of condensation and all that kind of stuff. This won't be a problem here. I mean, this has been open already and I started painting. This was the first thing I did. Started painting it about 3 weeks ago already. I mean, this has been a 4-week restoration. And by the time I'm done with everything and put everything back together, it will probably have been 2 or 3 months just in the open, just drying out. So condensation inside the cab won't be an issue. It can be an issue if you just paint it, put a fresh painted coat and put a fresh coat of paint and then close everything down like after a couple of days. Maybe condensation might be a problem there, but not in this case. This side, same as the other side, and then here, I mean, I cleaned the coin door. This guy was derusted as well, just wire wheel and everything. So all in all, I mean, pretty happy. So it's time to start on this playfield. As you can see, I've started taking things out. I'm actually just taking the ramps and the rocks things, so I can actually just take this off the prop and put it on its side or move it around. I'm gonna try, and as you can see, it's pretty grimy and dirty, and it needs got a thorough clean. So I'm not well here, you know, I'll be able to access the playfield and clean everything. God, it's so grimy, but it's still in good condition. And then I can take out individual things like bulbs and all these, fix all these screws, clean everything. It's going to take a bit of work, but it's more time consuming really. There's a couple of things. So this is broken, as you can see. I'm going to see if I can fix this. Instead of buying new ones, I have fiberglass, and I might be able to just not only just patch this, but rebuild this little section and paint it afterwards. So we're going to try that first before I go the buying new stuff. There's loads of little things like you know, the tabs where they go and get, you know, screw these into place that are broken. Things like that. It just needs a clean as well. As you can see, just repolish these, clean them. Yeah, there's a lot of work, but it's quite feasible, and it'll turn out quite nice when it's all clean, but quite a lot of work. There's things like this though. I'm not sure exactly how long this was. I'll see if I can find how long this was. I'm going to attempt to rebuild the missing piece here and color match it, but this piece most likely I might need a new one. I'll see. It doesn't really bother me, to be honest. Yeah, it does look like it's broken, so it probably comes over here, but if I can fix it and patch it, I'm gonna go that route. Otherwise, this one I might need a new one, but I know where to get it. Pinball Center. I usually get stuff from them directly. So, and thank you very much. Everybody's recommended a lot of stuff to me. Really appreciate that. So I'm gonna continue. I need to take out this guy. This is all corroded and it doesn't want to come out. So it's going to be interesting. I might need to. I'm going to see if I can actually just cut a slot here. It's on a WD-40 just to loosen things a bit and take it out like that. Otherwise, I might have to just break this, and since we're gonna remake this, yeah, that's just the way it is. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a lot of cleaning and tidying. This guy I can't take out because I need to take out this altogether first, and this is gonna be interesting. I was told that this section is a right pain to get to, but it needs to come off. And I'm sorting everything, you know, in little containers. So this is all the screws for this, all the screws for this. So I'm gonna put them underneath as well, just a way where they don't risk being broken for now. And it's so handy having this little trolley there to work with. Let's keep working. Alright, so I got this guy out. I just figured out there's there's a flashlight on this camera, but so got this guy out. I'm gonna do something. Well, first, so this is secured by these 4 posts here, so you need to detach those. Took pictures of everything, and then there's all these connectors here, so they should match the color wise, but just in case I took pictures of everything, where everything is going. Actually, pretty much everything has connectors, which is handy. So now I have clear access to all this underneath. I'm also going to detach this guy here, and yeah, but you can see how crummy it is, so I'm just going to start brushing everything first, giving that a solid clean, and then starting by restoring all the parts here first, and then I'll be able to move on this guy, onto this guy, and then the top pieces. What I'll probably do is I'm gonna rearrange this. I'm gonna put this in the middle and all these at the bottom, so I still have this free here, just to leave stuff and work on. I need to take this out though, figure out a way how to take this out. Yeah, because this is not coming out. Normally you can see the thing is eaten here, the screw, so I'm not quite sure how to proceed here. I might just get a small Dremel and see if I can cut a notch, and maybe use a flathead screwdriver to detach this. If not, I'm gonna have to cut this bolt all together and try not to damage this piece. If I do, it's no big deal. I have sort of major work on this one to do anyway, so that's alright. As you can see, everything is fairly crusty and rusted and needs a solid clean through and through. Should these be... is there lights in these? Yes, there is. Huh, okay. Wow, there's still a lot of stuff. I got parts actually recently for these guys as well, so I'm going to be able to replace those. I'll also be able to take this off the stands and flip it once I've removed this and this, because everything else be a lot less fragile, so I'll be able to move stuff. Sorry, this ramp here. I think that's the last plastic ramp, yeah. Okay, let's do that. Man, this it's funny what a bit of cleaning can do. So yeah, obviously I started cleaning here, this section. Yeah, rags are quite crusty here, but yeah, it's cleaning up nice. I'm not seeing anything wrong with the play field, so that's good news. I'm seeing a lot of these, you know, little screws and bolts and things like that I'm gonna have to just take out one by one and go through the wire wheel. Something like that might be a bit tricky, but at this stage I can actually just flip this on the side and have access to the underside, just to take, you know, just elements like that. I assume this is, yeah, oh, it's probably just connected with one bolt, and then there's all these connectors here. So I'm not filming much of the process because it's rather tedious and slow, but it's cleaning every individual piece here as best as I can. So these are optocouplers, and just clean the metal there that was getting traces of rust. Just cleaning this guy. I'm gonna clean every bolt individually. You can see I have stuff in vinegar here. So it's that kind of stuff. It's slow progress, but I'm seeing stuff just, you know, getting clean and shiny again, one at a time. It's kind of cool. It's sort of a cathartic work in a way, which I actually enjoy, but it's not something that's too fun showing on camera. So this is, I'm doing this area first. Essentially, I still have these to clean. I might leave them as they are because they're not actually visible, and I'm not seeing too much rust on it here. There's a tiny bit, but it's not too bad. While I'm at it, I might as well just take them off. I might as well. These I can't take off, but it's because I have a 3/16 head. Where is it? Here, but it's actually getting eaten away just from years of use, and because this is Imperial and here now we use metrics, these aren't necessarily super easy to find in shops anymore, so I've ordered some from eBay. Hopefully they'll be here in a few days so I can take these out, but this is now it's just eating too much and I can't, it's just spinning freely. It's pretty useless, so I've ordered a few more. I don't have too many of them left, but that's the way. So I'll start with this area. I'll just clean everything here, and then I will move to this area here. So this was just the best way to do it for me at the moment, because then that way I don't have to separate everything. Keeps it under control, and then clean all that, and then I'll probably move here, over here. Sorry, and then here and here. But I've cleaned some of the play field already. Some of the bits here, you can see things are a bit more shiny than they used to be. Yeah, I have all these as well to clean. These are pretty badly. Quick update before I call it a day. So I've this piece all cleaned. I also cleaned the underside, so I took everything apart. It's pretty easy to remove. There's a couple of screws here and one on the other side. It looks more complicated than it is, but just cleaned everything, came out nice and well, clear coated it just to protect it. I'm waiting for the bit, the what is it, 3/16 or something like that bit, to remove these guys. I can't remove them without it. Cleaned all these. They actually they looked very rusted, but they actually cleaned up really well. All these lights here. So I'm pretty much done on this section. I started cleaning all these guys. Found a couple of just crumbling. One of these, actually 3 of them. There's one over here, and there is one here that I put back. Started replacing the rubbers, cleaned all these guys. So I'm sort of gone here now. I've sort of done this section. I need to order more of these fellas. Replaced all those rubbers. I'm gonna move on to the other side here. I still have this guy to clean, this guy to clean, and then I'll be able to move to the bottom of the play field. Yeah, and then so I'm going to place an order for these, and I'll order all the replacement bulbs. I'm going to go with no flix LEDs because that's what I have in my other pin, and people have been warning me about ghosting, but I haven't experienced it with the other one, so we'll see. And if you know, ghosting is an issue, I can always replace bulbs back. There's also one piece, a couple of sections at the bottom. The bottom is quite nice, but there's this chute here that I'm gonna have to address. It's not too bad, but there I can see clearly some rust here. So okay, so I'm using some of that Solar Res. It's UV curing, so I don't need to add a catalyst or anything like that. As soon as it's hit by sunlight, it starts the catalytic process of hardening. Just using some of that fiber here. You can see the weave, and I've taped it on the other side, so just to keep the sort of harmonized shape. We'll see if it works. I might have to patch it afterwards from the other side. And here I've done the same thing. So I've used one of the thing from the other side of the pinball, because the shape was similar. As a template, I've put some masking tape in between, so and I think it's already hardened, so I might be able to remove it already. We'll see. Yeah, it's pretty much hardened already. Leave that to cure afterwards for a while, and then I'll be able to start resanding it and shaping it, and might need a patch, but I think we'll be okay here. Yeah, let's keep working. This is what my repair looks like. So there's this section here as well. So I've actually just cut out some of the excess. See that big crack here is patched on the inside as well. So now I'm gonna try and see if I can color match. I might sand it down just a tiny bit, just to provide some grit, so there's a key for the paint to stick. But yeah, at least it's making it structurally much more solid, because it felt just brittle. Now it's actually a nice solid piece. It doesn't feel like it's going to break if I touch it, so that's a bonus. And see, these things are expensive still. Even repros can be quite expensive, and if I can save some money on pretty much anything, I will. And I'd rather have the old parts even patched up, but hopefully when I'm done with it, you won't even know where the paint is and where the patch is. I just want to show you I have done more. I've actually inspected a lot of the stuff, and I've done more. So here, and these are drying in the sun right now, but here, this here section, this is where the screw goes. So I need to sand that down a bit. Sorry, I need to sand that down a bit, just flush with sort of that edge line. That's no big deal, and then I can drill a hole, and I'll color match it again. But this is where you can just actually, you know, it's one of these fixational play, so it's kind of essential, otherwise the thing will move and rattle and get even more damaged. There was a couple more on the back rocks here. You can see those two patches here. It's really, whoa. Sorry, I'll show you this first. I forgot this was here, but this is the patch I've done on this guy. So it'll need a clean first, and then I can sand it down, and then I'll color match. I'll have to color match it from the top, even though the paint is on the underside. I'll see. I might just do a coat on the underside, and see if I can just replicate that coat of paint on the top side. I'll probably just go for that white thing, even though the other one on the other side has some blue, but I'll just keep it simple. So I'm trying to match that white as best as I can. So we'll see, but it's better. I think it's better. Even sanded down, it'll look better anyway. Then it won't be fully opaque, fully transparent. It'll be slightly opaque, but at least it'll look complete. And once, oh come on, focus. Once I'm done with the paint, it should look all right. Why won't you focus? No, never mind. You've seen it. The other thing is, one of the other things is this guy. I have the same problem. This is the top rocks. Come on, focus on it. So, and just I've just filled the hole placement. I've made them slightly thicker as well. I've used a few layers of fiberglass and obviously resin, but just made them slightly thicker and overlapped them a good bit on the existing piece. So there's a good key, and yeah, it'll provide some structural integrity, and I'll be able to just put them properly, as opposed they were just sitting on top of the pinball at the end. It's the back of the pinball, but they were just sitting there, so they won't rattle anymore. I'll be able to fix them properly. And the third one was this ramp. Now some of the ramps have little holes like that as well that needs to be fixed, but the biggest fix was this guy here, this corner. Let me grab this properly. First I've cleaned it, it looks much better, but this corner here was broken. You can sort of see, can you see the edge of the line? Yeah, there's this sort of, I can't use my fingers, but there's this sort of, it was broken here. So there's still some at the bottom, but yeah, I had to use quite a bit of a fiberglass on this one. I'll sand it down as well, it'll look cleaner once it's sanded down. But it'll look better anyway than a big broken one, and I'd rather do with a patch than leave it broken or buy a new one. Again, these are expensive. Like if I had to buy all these again because they were slightly broken, it would cost a fortune. The other thing with this guy is these ramp flaps. So I posted a message on one of the online Facebook groups. I didn't know what they were called, and I couldn't see them in the manual. These are called ramp flaps, but as you can see, it's badly rusted and corroded. Excuse me. And these are secured with rivets, so I was asking how to remove them. So a few people have advised to use a very sharp drill bit or a Dremel, but I just very carefully drill them out, using water to cool down, otherwise the plastic will melt. And then other very nice folks have pointed where I can buy them, but most of them are actually in the US, so I'll get crucified for import costs and shipping. And I think I can replicate that. I'm gonna use, I'll show you what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use some here it is. I'm going to use biscuit tins. It's roughly the same gauge metal, just about. By the time I've stripped it of the external paint, it might well be. Even that, I will sand it anyway just to clean it, and then I will gun blue it. So I'm going to use this section here because it's the flattest, and I'm pretty sure I can make new ones out of that. And again, probably save 50 quid on just importing and buying the pieces and etc, etc. I'll use small standard rivets, and we'll see if it works. I mean, it's gone, so I have nothing to lose by trying it. If it doesn't work out, I can buy, you know, ones from the internet, but I want to try that first because, again, it's about operating on a budget here, and and sometimes it's just silly, paying silly money for silly little things. So let's look after our. You can see the difference in color, but it'll sand a lot clearer. Anyway, let's keep working. Alright, that's it off. A couple of things here. So I wonder, I was careful, I did go slow, and I used some water just to cool it down, but I wonder if it heated the plastic and just, because the metal heated up and probably just melted the plastic around it. I'm not sure. I wonder if it's like that anyway. Regardless, it's not a big deal. I can patch that again with fiberglass and then re-drill a hole here. So we might need to do that. And what I can do is just have a piece of fiberglass on the underneath here. I can see it's a crack that I hadn't seen, and the crack runs along here. So it might need to be patched and fixed regardless. So yeah. Just to make it stronger, and while it's out here I might as well just fix that. So we'll do that. We'll just patch this guy and probably patch this hole and re-drill it to this size, just to be on the safe side, and then I can cut out my piece of metal out of my biscuit tin, and we'll patch this and make a new one. I need to get some rivets as well. Right, there you go. So this is the piece here that actually broke. It disintegrated actually as soon as I took it out, but this is the piece. I made just a template copy of it of sorts. It should be exactly the right size if everything's right. So I just cut it with the angle grinder here, and out of this piece, and then just sand it down both sides just to clean everything. Give it a quick polish. I'm gonna give it a clean now with alcohol, and probably acetone actually, just to get all the stuff off. And then I have some gun blue on order. So gun blue is one of those things that blackens your metal, and I needed some anyway for other projects. So I'll use it for this, just to blacken this guy. Try and match it as best as I can. And then, so this is slightly more rigid, but it's still flexible, so it should work on this. You know, it should work. I might sand down the edges a bit just to make it more flexible. This is paper thin almost, but hopefully it'll work. So I'm gonna mark where the holes should go as well, here, and then I'll match that onto the ramp and see where the holes for the rivet then go. I'll do it in this order. But for now, I'm going to put this to the side and move on. I was just going to show you. I had this guy out. Just my well, it's a big kind of angle grinder thing, but I'm using it as a sander, and I've used grits of it was 600, 1200, and 2000 grit. To polish the flap there, but I also used that on the balls because they were also rusted and pitted, and well, if I may say so myself, and I am saying so myself, they came out quite nice and clean. There's still a few marks here and there, but I'm going to be able to reuse these. So you can see some of the, actually it's more visible if you leave them here, some of the marks, a few blemishes here and there. But actually this was the worst affected. You can see some of the black marks, but I think they came back quite nice. So do you know what, instead of just buying any set, I'm just going to see if I can reuse these. Technically it's taking a tiny bit of material. That's what happens when you're polishing, but not enough really to for anyone to notice the difference. So I'm sure somebody will tell me that they can notice the difference, but I know I won't because I'm not that good at pinball player anyway. But instead of buying a new set, there you go, I can reuse the old ones. For just reference, these were the old ones that I didn't have all this polishing grit and all that kind of stuff when I did the other pinball. So I sanded them by hand with wire wool, and this came out like this. So much more effective to use an angle grinder. Alright, so I've been trying to color match this thing. I've finally sanded everything down, and as you can see, it's quite somewhat flush and level. I don't want to risk taking off some of the original plastic. Come on, focus. There you go. As you can see, yeah, it's been scratched already. It's funny, I can see it with the lamp. Yeah, it's because I'm flashing light on it at a certain angle. Those scratches are fairly visible here. They're not quite in real life actually, but so I've sanded down and I've painted there on the side. I think this is as clean as I'm gonna get it. So this is actually what it looks like. The issue with those kind of dark blemishes here is because, well, when I was working on that resin, my tools and fingers were probably not that clean, and it added some impurity. I'm gonna have to live with that or redo it entirely. But you know what? I think it's better than a big chunk of it is, you know, being missing. So I am going to live with that. I'm happy enough as it is. I might do another coat on the underside just to make sure that it's nice and opaque and somewhat uniform. But yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It'll just be noticeable as a blemish on the pin. Well, once it's back in the pin. And well, this piece and the equivalent piece on the other side, it's just actually that section here, they go for about 35 as repros, you know. Original would be much more expensive, but even as a repro, it's 35 euros or 25 euros. I think is the cheapest I found it, plus shipping, of course. So it's probably 35 euros altogether. I'd rather use that money for something that is thoroughly missing, like one of these I noticed on the other side of the pinball is entirely missing. There's a bit of a stain here. There you go. So actually I'll show you which one it is. So I need to order that piece, so I'd rather use the money for that and live with that little blemish, but I think it looks better. The rocks, once they're entirely redone, will look at least better than that, because here the problem being that I'm banking on everything being transparent, and fiberglass isn't quite as transparent as this plastic to start with. It was hard to keep everything clean. When I was fixing stuff, it's funny, I noticed a couple of things. First is that actually this piece here, this thing that should be covering here, is entirely missing. So I've ordered that. So I'm glad I didn't spend money in getting a new one of these, because now I have the money for this. So I've ordered one of these. It's on the way with a few other things like new lights. A lot of screws actually were either just damaged or just too badly rusted. Not too many, but a few, so I've ordered them. A couple of these posts as well are damaged, so I think there's 3 of them. And this one goes here, and 2 go on this piece here. So I've actually swapped them. So at least when I put these things together, I'll have the posts. And a few other bits. Forgot what I've ordered as well. So yeah, this thing is missing. There was one thing as well that I when I was cleaning everything, I noticed is that there was a big rubber going from here around this guy here, and it was actually just touching this guy, and I was like, that doesn't make sense because this thing needs to move freely. So having a rubber is actually blocking the way. These are the bumpers, and so I looked at the manual, and indeed there should be a rubber here, which wasn't present, but it shouldn't be a rubber around here. So I can remove that and put the bright rubber here. So we're making progress. I've cleaned this guy, just waiting for my new bit to arrive so I can actually just remove these and clean them all together. But yeah, there's not a lot more to clean. There's this guy, this, maybe these 2 clamps. I'll have to find a way to access this guy. I'll have to flip things a bit. and this guy as well. I'll have to I left it for now because I need to access the plug on the wire, the cable, so I can remove this, and I need the bit. So yeah, we're sort of on standby, but in the meantime I can work on restoring the plastics. This is the ramp that was broken. This is what it's like now. I've actually re-drilled a hole properly, and you can see here. So the weave is a bit more visible than I would like, but that's okay. Again, I'd rather a piece, and that section was actually part of making that whole area solid, so it's giving it back a bit of structural strength. So I'm gonna have to live with that looking a bit more opaque than I'd like, but that's just the way it is. But at least it's solid, it's reinforced now, and the problem here is this side is sanded correctly. The weave will probably be visible because the resin I was using is a sort of paste, and it didn't soak entirely the weave, the cloth. But I don't have the right tools for sanding this corner and the underside, so I might just well, a Dremel would help, but not entirely. So I might see if I can get a Dremel bit. There's a mark here. It's not a crack, or it's just a mark of something. Yeah, this side has been reinforced. I need to sand it down a bit more. The hole here, and I've drilled my holes in this guy as well, so it's just ready to be gun blued, and it'll be put right back here in place. And all my sanding and things have made this a lot more flexible. Not as much as the other one, but at least there'll be a bit of flex in this, and it's going to sit nicely here. Alright, so I have all my painting redone. There's one patch here, somewhere here, I won't tell you exactly where it is, but that I've just color matched and repainted, and yeah, it looks fine. I give them a wash as well just before, that's why they look so shiny. Here you can see the wet paint just drying, so it's not perfect, but I'm actually going to drill a hole here afterwards where those blemishes are, so we won't see that. This thing is going to be way at the back, so it doesn't really matter. It's this spot here that I fixed, this entire area. Here, this section as well, it's just drying at the moment. It looks fine. I try to keep things not even, you know, not completely even. What I did actually is I went with a Dremel bit and just kind of carved little grooves and indentations and stuff like that. And here is the main piece that was so poorly broken. So you can see the crack here somewhere. It's still there, but this piece here is done color matched, and the dome here. Actually, now this is much better. This flashlight is actually making everything shiny and distracted from it. So this is the dome. You can see this dark area here is where I patched it, but I just colored matched to what this side sort of looked like. I did use some photo references, but it looks much better now, obviously, and it's on the ground. But yeah, there you go. So at least it's fixed. I don't need to buy a whole new set of these because they were broken. Again, you know, I'd rather save the money for something else, like the dome cover, the topper dome. That'll be more important to get that. Give them a clean so they're all nice and beautiful and shiny. I still need to just clean that metal, those bolts, but other than that, they could be ready to be put back. What I might do is I might use some matte top coat, just to make sure that the paint doesn't chip off, just to seal it properly. But I'll wait for them to be dry and then I'll do that afterwards. Okay, let's go back into the shed. So one of the things I was slightly worried about is this guy. This goes on the top here, this way, and essentially you see the ball pusher just being activated. It sits right here, and yeah, while this guy is absolutely fine, hasn't any traces of rust, and none that I could see. I could see the paint on this guy bubbling. You can see it here. And sure enough, I just ran my finger over it and look what came off. Pretty much most of the paint. So I started making a template of where the white goes. I've taken pictures, I've referenced pictures, all that kind of stuff. So I'm essentially just gonna de-rust it, repaint it with my paint I got a while back, and hopefully just color match. It's not straight plain white. I think it's just the blue is coming off it from the underneath, so I don't need to have a absolutely matte perfect finish, but I'll do my best just to match the art afterwards. So first I need to just strip everything off this. It's rusting on the underside, it's bubbling here as well, and repaint it, and then we'll color match it. The joys. So this guy on this side, on its side, sorry, and I have to do that before I put all the ramps back and everything. So I'm looking for, let's see, these guys here, and you can see this this fella is bent here, and this is actually what I figured broke this this edge here. So the fact that it's the repair is a bit kind of fuzzy, or you know, opaque, won't matter, because this actually be hidden behind this guy, and this guy normally should have a plastic, so I have replacement things here, so this will be in front of that that patch, and this comes together, it assembles together like that. I'm not happy with those bolts here, so I'm just going to replace them with this that can be used with a just normal Phillips or a straight screwdriver. The less bits and screws and sockets I need to maintain this thing, the better. It's been a bit of a nightmare just trying to match everything, but so I'm trying to make everything as uniform as I can, and even replacing those guys here. I'm replacing them with these fellas. They have that kind of notch in the center, so I can use a screwdriver or a socket bit, but trying to replace them. These I haven't replaced yet, but I'm replacing these. I think I don't have any more of these now, so I've replaced the most critical ones, but I'll see. I might need to get more next time I'm in the shop, and because it'll make things so much easier. So I've cleaned this guy as well, as best as I could. This was all black, you couldn't even see through it. Just de-rusted as much as I could. All this, all the bars. This is fine. I was gonna take it apart, but this is actually okay. I've just greased it a bit so it can move without making a sound now, which is great. I greased all these parts. It's sort of ready to move back in, but I'm gonna put that underneath here where it's protected while I work on this guy. So I need to remove this guy here. I've taken one and the other one is here. Yeah, it needs to be replaced. It's quite corroded as well, so it won't hurt to get a new one. I'll salvage the definitely will salvage the leaf switch though. Okay, let's keep working. Alright, well, first thing first, I got myself a cool new light here. It's the same type of light that I have in my workbench area. It's one of those magnifier lights, but they're actually great because I can just angle it properly towards where I want more light. Anyway, so here I'm getting, well, I've put this back, so I cleaned this guy. Yeah, it's looking nice, clean over here, and I actually ended up just cleaning because there's a whole plastic ramp over there that essentially when the ball drops here, it drops here, it slides into a ramp and gets back, slides into a ramp here and gets back into this guy and is launched back into here. So, or possibly here, I'm not sure. But anyway, so that's clean as well. That really is the last bit I needed to clean here on this part of the assembly. I'm still waiting for my bit here. It's a 1/4 bit. I actually received the 3/16. It wasn't the right one. What was I thinking? So anyway, yeah, I still need to. I've ordered a full set, so that way I know it's in there. So I'm waiting for that to arrive. I'll replace those with things like that. make things easier in the future. But I need to clean this, and that's that. But I can do that much later, meaning when I've already cleaned this whole assembly. This guy is looking much cleaner. I'll just get him here if I can. Well, anyway, yeah, clean this whole section there. Just started putting back LEDs, lights. This is clean. This is clean. This is clean. I just need to clean these final ramps, so I can pretty much start assembling stuff pretty soon. I've replaced these guys as well, as you can see. They look much nicer, so I can start assembling things. I am waiting just for that blue thing, what is it? Gun blue products, just to stain this guy. Let's go this way. Stain this guy. My God, it's raining again. Wow. Anyway, I'm waiting for the gun blue to stain this guy, and I'll be able to put this ramp. So this ramp goes in first. It goes here, and then that top assembly goes on top, and then we can put the other ramps around that. Wow, the rain is oh my God. First day of September. Mind you, August was pretty much like that too. That's crazy. Anyway, look at this. It's looking so much brighter and cleaner. Yeah, it's gonna be a nice one when it's done. One. There you go. Now we should be able to well, actually put it back, because this is the first one that needs to go in the pinball. So let's do that. I'm going to give it a final clean underneath. I can see some stuff here that's dirt. We'll give this a final clean and put it back on the pinball. Right, that's the second one done. This is the original. So you can see it's all fairly rusted and there's holes everywhere in it. This is the one I've just done. I'm just cleaning it now. I might just clear coat it just in case. It's gonna be the side I have down. It's not completely uniform. It's really hard to get a uniform kind of haze, but I'll see if I can clear coat it. You can see the difference. One is shiny, one isn't quite. Maybe if I polished it first, Interesting. Here on this side, didn't quite take in some areas. It's probably because they're recessed, because of where I drilled the holes. They actually sunk in, and the sandpaper didn't quite get in there. It's okay. I'll use this side. I'll see if I can clear coat it. See if it gives a bit more shine. If not, I'll try to polish the next one and see if I get a better result. Yeah, clear coating it will give me a better shine on this. This is the original one. This is with a clear coat, so perfect. So I'm starting to put things back together, and I'm definitely glad that I took a few pictures, because even with that, it can be tricky. Trying to figure out where this guy goes. I think it goes somewhere here, isn't it, or something like that. It's going to sit on top of over here somewhere. Yeah, it can only go one way, but it takes a while, even with the photos I've taken to put everything back. But look at that, look how clean and good this looks. These are looking mighty, I have to say. Yeah, I'm glad I took the time to remake them, because and not actually buy them. They can be pricey to buy, whether they're repros or not, actually. So plus shipping, plus all of that. And the problem with this is most things are available, but a lot of them are available from different sites, so you just get hit with shipping every time. And not living in the US make things worse. I know there's stuff available in Europe, and I've bought stuff from Europe, but still, I mean, you know, there's some parts that I just couldn't find. So I'm glad I took the time to repair this guy. I'm seeing another crack here. I need to fix that before I move on. Look how good these looks though. All clean. Yeah, I'm gonna fix that. Or do I? It doesn't actually bother me that much. Oh yeah, because once it's lit up, it's gonna show through the. There's a light here, and the light is just gonna show through. I need to fix this. Not a big deal. Right, that's another section done. This is the flap is just redone here, all installed back. I actually missed a crack here, and it's.
Here's what I found.
Thank you, Google, whatever. I still have one ramp here, that big kind of ramp. This one here, over there. I've this guy that goes here, that cover all this section, and we have the back here to put back. But I still have another flap. I thought I was done with the flaps. I have another one to do. It's the same process I've just shown anyway, so I'm not going to show that. And I think I have, yeah, these screws, bolts to clean, and a hole to drill here, just to so I can fasten this this fella here. And there should be, where does it go? There's a light here, should go here, and it should screw on this. But yeah, it's getting there, and it's looking a lot better by the minute. I still have these to clean. I'll do that afterwards. I'm going to just finish the playfield here. I'll clean those, and I'm waiting for this guy to properly dry. I might do well, it's not I might, it's I will do a wet sand, just to get rid of that kind of those bumps. Final coat, another wet sand, and I'll be ready to paint, hand paint all the artwork on it, and then we can put that blue thing over here, and hopefully bring the playfield back onto the pinball. I'm still waiting for the legs to be powder coated, hopefully by tomorrow or the day after. Alright, we got the last ramp back on this. Let me switch the light on here. Yeah, this is looking very nice indeed. So there's still one piece here, which is where is it? It's this guy here. A couple of things happen. I didn't expect any problems with this, but I did. The paint started peeling off as soon as I tried to varnish it, and well, that's probably due to a couple of reasons. First, the varnish doesn't quite agree with this type of paint. It's probably not metal paint, and I hadn't put a primer because I didn't think it needed one. So I stripped it the back, sanded it properly by hand, just to make sure I sanded every piece, every corner, just to provide just a good grip for an actual primer. So I put a metal primer, and now this is my first very light coat. You can see the black primer underneath, very light coat of that blue paint underneath. Looking at this, it's not quite going to match, but I mean, well, we'll see after a few coats, because there's that black primer, so it appears a lot darker. Actually, this goes the other way like this. Come on. It goes in this way, but it'll be somewhat acceptable, I'd say. Yeah, it won't be too bad. But there you go, especially considering this is going to be painted as well. I still need to paint, so there's still a few days. I'm going to wait at least 24 hours between each coat, so it's still tacky here. I'm going to wait until the top coat is actually just dry, as opposed to just estimating it. Like I paint it every 12 hours, but it's just not enough for this type of paint, so especially on metal. So we'll take our time. It's probably take a week just for that piece. But this is the last part, and then we'll be able to move this back into the pinball once I get the legs, of course. But look at this. So here is the restored play field inside the cab, and here's the cab standing up in my gym here. So there's no room for this in my arcade room, and the more I looked at it, the more, and I measured everything, and it's not going to fit in the arcade room because with the topper it's too high. And there's a dome that comes over that, so it's just about going to clear here. I'm not even sure how I'm going to fit the dome on this once I get it. I'm not going to get it for now, and I probably won't get it when I'm making these videos. I'll get it in time, but to be honest, it's not too urgent. So I've got everything in there, and I had a bit of a bad news. So when I powered it, it worked for the first time, and then I put everything back in, powered it again, it worked, and then died. And I think the bad news was this board. This board was just it was quite corroded, and it didn't look too bad at first. And I tried to remove a couple of the ICs here, and you can see the traces lifted straight away as soon as I applied some heat onto the pads. The traces lifted. So yeah, this is gonna be bit of a pain to fix. I got a replacement one. I got a Rotten Dog one, which we'll see in a second, but I'm still gonna try and fix it. There's only a few, well, there's only a few traces. Now, the most traces on these two ICs are gone, and I'm still not sure what the issue is with this board, so I'll see. I'll put it on the side for now, and I'll consider fixing it down the line. It'll be handy to have a spare one. In the meantime, I got, let me put this aside here. In the meantime, I got this Rotten Dog here, connected everything, which took time. I won't lie to you, and I still have the issue with these sound connectors, so I have no sound, but I'll fix that in a second. I'm gonna use some Molex connectors for this, but here you go. I can show you, and there you go. We have lights. So I have some just various lights here that I had left over just to see that everything was working. I will change these in time, so no panic here. Though it kind of looks good with all these different colors. I don't really have much in lieu of a GI in general here. I see some stuff here. All the stuff that's accessible from under directly aren't. I haven't changed any of these, so most of the lights aren't working. But there you go. It's powering on at least. You can. I have batteries, so the factory settings aren't saved. If we reset, we can actually just start a new. There's this guy and enter test report. No, I just want to. There you go. We can credit. Can we? Oh, I think we created here. Yeah, there you go. 3, 4. And we can start again. There's actually a ball stuck over there, so it won't start. Not right now. This guy here isn't quite working. I see this guy isn't flashing when it should. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we still need to do. So this is not the end of this restoration. This thing's not quite working right yet, but at least it's back. It's rust free and it's powering, and I am so happy. And look at the topper here. You can't even, from here, yeah, you can't even know, like, tell that it's been changed. I'm seeing some bulbs not quite working. I'm gonna have to have a look at that. But other than that, yeah, pretty happy. So I'm going to reconnect the sound for now at least, and start looking at some of the stuff. See, this flasher there isn't working, that yellow flasher. It should be flashing as far as I know. Anyway, let's keep working. There you go, folks. This is well, pretty much the end of this restoration. This pinball is well, is working. It's in great working condition now. There's still a handful of issues I need to look into, but yeah, look at that. I changed all the light bulbs, added some small GI, not a lot. I don't like this overly glowing GI. There's a couple of changes I need to make to the light bulbs here. You see, they have those white ones normally when you get one of the kit. And I tried the blue here, and because these markers are blue, they look nicer. So I'll change this to blue. I probably will change this to blue as well, just a light blue. I like this area, just the way it lights up. Except, see this, these white ones here. They should light these guys red, a lot brighter. I don't like the white ones, so I'll change these to red. But I think that's it. That's all the changes I will do. A lot of people like to have all the just very blue-ish glow over here. I think that's a bit overkill in general. I think people overdo it with GI, and I certainly did in my other pinball. But anyway, so things I fixed. Well, a lot of it I forgot now. There was a couple of flippers not quite working, and I still need to adjust this one. It's just a bit too high. See, it's not aligned properly. This is an easy one to do. The only really last issue I have is with this topper, with this knocker. It actually activates 3 times, so I think there's probably something wrong with the optos. I need to clean them and just check that. Maybe at some point do the board, an overall on the board that works all that, but it's working. You can just play. You can hear the topper just activating a few times there. Anyway, I won't try and play, but there you go. There was a couple of lights not working here. These weren't flashing. Fixed all that really. There was a few just wires loose, not connected properly. I resoldered all of that, but it's all working. Anyway, folks, this is the end of this restoration. It certainly took a while. This has been 3 months. Working on it pretty much every day. I still have a couple of things to do. I want to get that topper dome. I want to get that missing rock mod. Some people have made a rock for this area, which is kind of cool. Yeah, there's a couple of things still, but this is not more restoration and it's more maintenance than restoration. And man, do I know this pinball inside out now. Yeah, this was quite a project, and I'm getting hooked on pinballs, I have to say. This was fun, because it has sort of everything. It has the electronics part, it has the electric, it has the just the mechanical, and then all the shed fixing and all that kind of stuff, woodwork, metalwork. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can look for another project like that. I'd love to fully restore another one. It's heap of fun, and yeah, loved every minute of it. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. As usual, you know, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you'll find me there. There's also a Patreon if you want to help the channel, and a Discord server if you want to chat. Folks, I'll see you next time.